The news hour coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from Hitzafrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. Hitzafrik Radio News Hour live.
It is a beautiful morning, just like yourself, and the time is exactly 7 o'clock GMT in the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Today is the 16th day in the month of April 2021. Now let's do today's headlines. Akufo-Addo signs Book of Condolence in honor of Prince Philip. John Mahama signs Prince Philip's Book of Record. 60-year-old man stabbed to death. People tell me to go back to school, and many other stories I bring your way this morning. Stay tuned as we do the news in details.
The news hour coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to Hitzafrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share, comment, and like. Also, follow us on all our social media platforms at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and everywhere. My name is Abena Ahwenye. Now let's do the news in details. Akufo-Addo signs Book of Condolence in honor of Prince Philip. The President Akufo-Addo on Wednesday signed the Book of Condolence opened for the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, at the British High Commission in Accra. The President said Prince Philip's life had a positive impact on us in Ghana. Prince, over 750,000 young Ghanaians have benefited from the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme, the great initiative he established in 1956, 65 years ago, to unearth talent amongst young people, the world, the President said. President Akufo-Addo thanked the late Duke of Edinburgh for his contribution in the construction of Head of State Award Scheme, Administrative Office in Ghana. His place in Ghanaian history is secure, and we appreciate very much his contact with us, the President added. The former Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who was married to Queen Elizabeth II, passed on away on 9th April at age 99. This unfortunate incident followed several visits by Prince Philip to the St. Bartholomew Hospital for heart treatment. He left behind 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. In other stories, John Mahama signs Prince Philip's Book of Condolence. Former President John Dramani Mahama has signed the Book of Condolence opened in memory of the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. The book was opened at the British High Commission in Accra. Prince Philip died aged 99, Buckingham Palace announced. Many world leaders and influential individuals have since paid tribute to him. Mr. Mahama, after signing, took to Facebook, had eulogized the late Duke of Edinburgh. He said, the passing of such a renowned personality has left a vacuum for many in the world to fill. He lived a long and fulfilling life, during which he touched the lives of many across the world, especially young people, he wrote on Facebook. He also commiserated with Queen Elizabeth II and the royal family for their loss. May his gentle soul find peaceful repose, he communicated in a post of social media. The former Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who was married to the Queen Elizabeth II, passed away on April 9th at age 99. This unfortunate incident followed several visits by Prince Philip to the St. Bartholomew Hospital for heart treatment. He left behind 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. Moving on to other stories. 50-year-old man stabbed to death in Oti region. A 50-year-old man has been stabbed to death by his cousin during a family disagreement at Budada in the Jasikan district of Oti region. Francis Brown, who allegedly stabbed Isaac Kojo Buapon to death, had fled from the town. Police Superintendent Jasikan District Police Command, who confirmed the incident, said a search for the suspect has begun and appealed to the community to assist in arresting him. According to him, neighbors found the deceased in a pool of blood in his house on Tuesday morning with multiple wounds on his legs and stomach. Mr. Bailey said the body was recovered and sent to the mortuary of the Hohoe Municipal Hospital for preservation. He said the police had commenced investigations into the death. Moving on to other stories. 800,000 Ghanaians vaccinated against COVID-19. Ghana Health Service, GHS, has vaccinated about 800,000 Ghanaians against COVID-19 since the rollout of the mass vaccination exercise across the country on March 2, 2021. Director General of the service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, who announced this in Kumasi, said nearly all health workers, both public and private, had been vaccinated. He was speaking during the 2021 first senior managers meeting of the service being held in Kumasi on the theme, Strengthening Service Delivery and Sustainable System for Health, amidst COVID-19 and beyond to achieve UHC. The three-day meeting brought together senior managers from all 16 regions to assess the 2020 performance and strategize for effective health delivery. Dr. Abuaji paid glowing tribute to the thousands of health workers for the relentless effort and strong support provided over the past year. As a service, we have demonstrated our resilience in delivering primary and secondary care services to the entire population of Ghana, and this has attracted positive national and global attention, he said. He, however, reminded Ghanaians that the country was still in unprecedented times and could not revert to doing things the old way. He said the meeting offered an opportunity for a situation assessment and determination of priority issues in the health sector to feed into the annual planning and at the same time serve as the basis for choosing focal issues for cooperation and dialogue between the service and partners. The theme for the meeting, he said, was a call to take stock of achievements, lessons learned from the pandemic to sustain the gains and supply them to existing systems to enhance the journey to achieve targets of the universal health coverage. He charged health workers to redouble their efforts, saying it was the only way to strengthen the foundation for a more resilient, healthier, and prosperous society for all. Nana Professor Oheneba Buachi Ejewu Ahene, Asanteheni's Hiahene, who chaired the meeting, said the country was way behind in most basic indicators for sustainable healthcare delivery. He said there was a severe imbalance in doctor-to-patient ratio, describing the current situation of 1 to 7,500 instead of the World Health Organization WHO standard of 1 to 1,320 was worrying. Structural investments in healthcare delivery post-independence, according to him, were not comprehensive or integrated, and that it was contributing to the lack of access to quality healthcare by most Ghanaians, particularly the poor and rural dwellers. He called on the government and all stakeholders to tackle critical areas such as human resource, infrastructure, healthcare financing, and effective management of communicable and non-communicable diseases. Moving on to other stories, dangerous giant snakes invade Kumasi residential settlement. The residents of Ashanti region's capital city, Kumasi, are reporting a rampant invasion of snakes in some residential settlements. In the past 3 months, the region is said to have recorded 6 dangerous snakes, a cobra, royal python, and mostly African rock pythons straying into their homes. At the Kumasi Zoological Gardens, a team leader, Dr. Paul Makeka, said the recent python captured by the team was a 6-meter-long African rock python hatching its eggs at Broko. This period, we've had about 6 calls. We've been able to attend to 4 of them, Dr. Mazeka reviewed. Joy News' Nanaya Ojima has reported that another python of similar size was captured at the construction site of the Kejetia Market Redevelopment Project. Though it was non-venomous, experts say it can cause harm to humans. A climate scientist at the Department of Environmental Science at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, Professor Isaac Tete, explained how the snakes behave. The snake has only seen the prey, so it will incline the head in that angle in 45 degrees, shoot the venom straight into your eyes, and attack you, he said. He said the non-venomous pythons resort to their physical power, so they compress you, coil around you, and stretch you apart. He added that the more you breathe, the more they also stretch to ensure that they cause sensation to your breathing rhythms, and they will kill you and swallow you. Scientists believe that the destruction of the environment by human activities may have changed conditions of the habitation of the snakes, hence their migration into human settlement. The climate scientists explained deforestation emits many greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, thereby trapping heat, which is expected to escape into space, into human territory, so the heat is retained. That heat is also being augmented by solar heating from space so that we have the warm climate surrounding the area of where the animals are. When it happens like that, then I said every organism has its reed with the ability to have the tremor, ray sensors. It senses that there is danger, so I should migrate to a different place. He, however, opined that filth, aside from climate variation, could also be a factor for snakes' migration. Without regular dislodging of refuse and transportation to landfill sites to manage the waste very well, then insects will be there. Rodents will also be in the refuse, and then these animals, the snakes, come. They are going to feed on the rodents, and then they get the rodents. They see that we have a better place to live, so they will prefer living with us humans. The two scientists, Professor Tete and Dr. Mazeka, both propose proper waste management and a reversal of environmental destruction to help halt the problem. There should be prohibited, strictly enforced that nobody will touch preserved areas, Professor Tete advised. Let's protect our environments. Let's protect our wildlife. We shouldn't destroy their habitat. Then coming back specifically to snakes, I would want to say that let's take waste management very seriously, Dr. Mazeka added. And this is where we end our local stories. Stay tuned as we do other African stories.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to Hitzafrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Do well to follow us on all our social media handles. Subscribe, share, comment, and like on our YouTube posts. Now let's do some African stories. UN to Uganda, end post-election crackdown. Security forces are seen near the house of presidential candidate Robert Kigulani, also known as Bobby Wine, in Magere, Uganda, on January 16, 2021. UN human rights experts on Tuesday urged Uganda to immediately stop the brutal crackdown on the political opposition, which began in the lead-up to January's general elections and intensified after the dispute votes. We are particularly alarmed by the reports of widespread and continued repression against opposition leaders and their supporters, the experts said. More than 50 people have been killed as a result of the brutal policing methods, including the use of live ammunition fired without warning, and at least 20 others have lost their lives in accidents linked to the electoral contest. The Syrian ruler Yoweri Museveni was declared winner of the election, in which the campaigning period was dominated by episodes of violence and a bloody crackdown on opposition rallies. They urged Kampala to investigate and prosecute all human rights violations, including allegations of extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrest and detention, enforced disappearance, torture, and ill treatment. Human rights organizations have documented dozens of missing people in the East African country. Bobi Wine's party, the National Unity Platform, NUP, in March released a list of 243 people, mostly activists, it said had been abducted by security forces. Some of those who were released said they were tortured and later dumped in isolation areas in the night. In a televised address on February 13th, President Museveni denied that security forces were holding the missing persons, but later appeared to contradict himself when he said that the Special Forces Command, SFC, the Presidential Protection Force, and 53 people in its custody. In a meeting with the envoys of China, the US, UK, France, and Russia in Kampala on Tuesday, Uganda's Foreign Minister, Sam Kutesa, denied that the security forces were carrying out abduction. According to a press release issued by the ministry, Kutesa told the diplomats that the November 18, 2020 violence, in which dozens of people protesting the arrest of Bobi Wine were gunned down, were violent routes, which regrettably led to loss of life. Moving on to another African country is Egypt. Egypt's centuries-old Ramadan canon fired after 30 years of silence. Coinciding with the start of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, Egypt fired on Tuesday the centuries-old Mid al-Lafta or Ramadan canon at Cairo's historic Salah el-Din citadel after 30 years of silence. The canon, last fired from the citadel in 1992, underwent a restoration program as part of the country's plan to develop archaeological sites. The cannon will be fired every day throughout the month at sunrise and sunset to mark the beginning and end of the daily fast. Worshippers in the Egyptian capital also expressed their joy at being able to attend Tarawih prayers this year after many mosques were shut down in 2020 due to coronavirus pandemic. During Ramadan, Muslims abstain from any food or drink, including water, from morning to night. The month-long practice is aimed at heightening remembrance of God, curbing unhealthy habits, and deepening gratitude. In other stories, Black Coffee, South Africa's rags to riches DJ, carries on despite COVID-19. The coronavirus pandemic has silenced many artists, but South Africans house music pioneer Nkosinathi Mafumulo, popularly known as DJ Black Coffee, has been rocking it, dropping an album and creating a streaming platform. The legendary DJ released his sixth album, the first in 5 years, a few weeks before his 45th birthday. As the pandemic hit the pause button on live music performances and pushed many in the gig industry to brink, the township-born music town house star was navigating between composing a new album, creating his own streaming music service, and philanthropy work. And this is where we end our African story. Stay tuned as we do the world news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to Hitzafrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. Now let's do some world news. In Afghanistan, we have won the war American has lost. Performed and in a black turban, he's a veteran member of the group, having first joined the militants in the 1990s when they ruled over the majority of the country. The Taliban have arranged a display of force for us. Lined up on either side of the street are heavily armed men, one carrying a rocket-propelled grenade launcher, another an M4 assault rifle captured from US forces. Balkh was once one of the more stable parts of the country. Now it's become one of the most violent. Bayalai, a local military commander with a ferocious reputation, points down the road. The government forces are just there by the main market, but they can't leave their bases. This territory belongs to the Mujahideen. It's a similar picture across much of Afghanistan. The government controls the cities and bigger towns, but the Taliban are encircling them with a presence in large parts of the countryside. My daughter's very young, but when she grows up, I will send her to school and the madrasa as long as it's implementing the hijab and Sharia, says Salahuddin. The government pays the salaries of staff, but the Taliban are in charge. It is a hybrid system in place across the country. The Taliban's ultra-conservative values do clash less with those in more rural areas, but many, particularly in the cities, fear they want to resurrect the brutal Islamic Emirates of the 1990s and the curtain freedoms that many young people have grown up with over the past 2 decades. Moving on to other stories, St. Vincent's volcano, UN warns humanitarian crisis will last months. St. Vincent coated in layer of grey as volcano continues to erupt. The humanitarian crisis caused by volcanic eruptions on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent will last for months. A UN official has warned. Didier Chubuk said nearly islands including Barbados, Antigua, and Barbuda could also be badly affected. He said the UN was setting up an international funding appeal. About 20,000 people have been evacuated from their homes since La Salle-Ferrer volcano began erupting last Friday. It had not previously erupted since 1979. Mr. Trebok, the UN coordinator of Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, said clouds of ash and smoke were continuing to pour from the volcano every day. We are expecting that continuous explosions and ash fall will continue over the coming weeks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but also in neighboring islands such as Barbados, which has also been severely affected, as well as St. Lucia and Grenada, he told reporters. And this is where we end our world news. Stay tuned as we do some entertainment news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to Hitzafrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Do also follow us on all our social media platforms. Subscribe, share, and comment on our YouTube channel. Now let's do some entertainment news. My drug problem was so bad, bodyguards checked my pulse as I slept. Justin Bieber has opened up about his transformation from wild child to reformed character. In an interview with GQ magazine, the 27-year-old singer spoke freely, revealing the extent of his drug problem and the development of his relationships with wife Hailey Baldwin and Christianity. I have a wife who I adore, who I feel comforted by. I feel safe. I feel like my relationship with God is wonderful, and I have this outpouring of love that I want to be able to share with people, Bieber told journalist Zach Baron. The Canadian superstar developed a reputation for bad behavior and a serious drug habit in years past, to the point that security guards would come into his room at night and check his pulse to make sure he was still alive, Bieber told Jinkyo. It was like I had all this success, and it was like I am still sad, and I'm still in pain, and I still have these unresolved issues. And I thought all the success was going to make everything good. And so for me, the drugs were a numbing agent to just continue to get through, he said. In November 2018, Bieber announced that he had married Hailey Baldwin. Then, in March 2019, he said he was taking time away from music to focus on his mental health. He discusses these struggles as well as his June 2020 revelation that he was suffering with Lyme disease in the GQ interview. Moving on to other stories, Ekuapem Polo trends after conviction. Actress Rosemont Brown, popularly known as Ekuapem Polo, who was earlier today convicted by the Accra Circuit Court over her nude pictures with her son, has received varied reactions from social media users. Social media sensation on her son's 7th birthday posted some naked photos which caused an uproar amongst a section of Ghanaians. After months of court proceedings, she has been remanded into custody to undergo a pregnancy test before her sentencing. Subsequently, on Wednesday, the actress pleaded guilty to all 3 charges and was convicted on her own plea by the court presided over by Christiana Khan. Some comments on social media are, as a mother who is raising a son, Ekuapem Polo did nothing wrong, nothing. #modern day mom at Vanessa Jan on April 14, 2021. You people are part of the problem. How can you say Ekuapem Polo did nothing wrong with what she did? Yeah, jail is a harsh punishment for her. Maybe a fine will be better, but she was wrong. Stop this unnecessary defending. Killerele joins Anka Majiman, April 14, 2021. Ekuapem Polo dropped the nudes last year and got arrested this year. Kojo Piano, this comfortably waiting for 2022. Kaish. Enoch at Wu Jimieno, April 14, 2021. You born sick of the law nor jail. Nam 1 and the likes. But Eddie Jail Polo, see laws day. But if we, the citizens, refuse to demand for justice, dear, it go over we, sir. Ghana, we make too much. But still, Ekuapem Polo for go jail. Moving on to other story. Here is why Koda wants Kwabna to quit secular music for gospel music. It is gospel musician Koda's wish that high life music star Kwabna would quit secular music to join the gospel music fraternity to work for the kingdom of God. The Nkwabodo hit maker made this revelation during an interview with Kofi TV. According to him, one person he would want to leave secular music for gospel music is the Chemuda hitmakers, adding that Kwabna has the grace of God on him and also has a sweet spirit. Explaining how he discovered the gospel side of Kwabna, Koda said he once encountered him singing gospel songs as he was touched by it. The first time I met him was at Gifty Auntie's program at GTV. He told Kofi Adjuma. He sang before I went on set to perform too. And when I met him, I felt he was someone that's God at heart. Kwabna is not a secular artist though. This is not the first time somebody has talked about their wish for Kwabna to do the work of God. Ghana Weekend Report. A few months ago, gospel musician Ohima Mercy prophesied that a high life crooner would one day be a prophet. His gospel song, Be Kwine, was hugely accepted by music lovers when it was released. He has also written gospel songs for Ohima Mercy. And this is where we end our stories for today. Stay tuned as I bring you a recap of our headlines.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hitzafrik Radio and TV.
You're still logged on to Hitzafrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Hitzafrik Radio and TV. Now let's do a recap of today's headlines. Akufo-Addo signs Book of Condolence in honor of Prince Philip. John Mahama signs Prince Philip's Book of Record. 60-year-old man stabbed to death. People tell me to go back to school. These and many other stories I brought your way this morning. Have a beautiful morning just like yourself and do enjoy the rest of our programs. My name is Abna Ahunye.